Welcome to PredWings podcast, where Smashville and Hockeytown collide. And now your hosts, Rhett and Ron White and D-Law, Dan Lawless. Welcome to PredWings podcast, episode 110. And our social media is PredWings Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, at PredWings Pod on X and YouTube, and you can listen and follow us on a Podbean or Podbean app, and our email is PredWingsPodcast@gmail.com, and probably might still be moving our recording day till Friday, but it might not be in March because I'm be busy the next 3 weekends with Junior Amerks, which they're on a roll. 8 wins in a row for them. First place. So if you're in the area, the Rochester area, come out and support them. And
yeah, they're fun. Do they fight, D-Lo?
Oh, yeah. There was a big they were in Northeast, which I believe is Massachusetts, this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They swept them both. And Saturday night they won 10-2, and a local guy that's on the Junior Amerks, Jackson Shoten, got into a fight. I didn't see it, but I guess it was a pretty good tell, and he's definitely a fighter. But yeah, there's a lot of fights in the North American Hockey League, and it's not just the Northeast. There's teams in Texas, out west, and there's like 5 or 6 divisions. So, and I mean, these are kids. These are 17, 18-year-old kids that are pretty much playing for D1 scholarships. They let them.
I mean, they let them beat each other's brains in at 17 years old. That's exciting. I like that.
But they also apparently they get fined for fight. I don't know how many. I don't.
The kids do? Are they getting paid to do this?
No, they don't get paid. I'm sure the teams probably cover it, because the players, it's basically a junior league. So they don't get paid. They billet. They have billets. Obviously the billets get a little money for the food and housing for them, but yeah, it's a pretty good league, and there are some NHL scouts that are starting to get into them, and you're starting to see some of these North American Hockey League players get drafted. Like a lot of them will play D1 college, so it's a pretty fun league to watch. Pretty exciting, actually. But I kind of hijacked.
I can't imagine what that would cost. Like when you're showing up as a parent to, sign your kid up for hockey. I mean, I don't know if that's how all this works, but I just know my kid played like the lowest possible level of travel hockey, and it was pretty expensive. But I can't imagine if you had to cover fines for fights and all the equipment and everything matching, and I mean that's any team.
Well, the team takes care of the uniforms.
Where do they get their money from?
The owners of the teams.
What is their return? They're not just.
Yeah, well, they get.
Somebody's got to be ponying up money, and there's got to be a return on that investment. I mean, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the financial aspect, but I know the players do not get paid, and they don't. It's not like typical hockey where you have to actually pay to play and stuff like that. They don't have to pony, like typical youth leagues. They don't have to put up money to play in that. But yeah, so. That's about all my talk I got right now. I really don't want to get into the beer league minute, unless you got something else going. Other than small talk, or well, I don't say small talk, like from going on this since last week?
No, no, it's still the same old thing. Nothing too exciting. Just
Uh, get
working a lot.
ready, coming, making your debut next fall, maybe, and
I'm looking.
again.
I'm hoping to. Yes.
All right, I guess I got to get into the beer league minute here. So I know last week we were talking about the coming in game. It was a big game. Team we could have beat, but I felt like
The goaltending stunk.
I absolutely choke. It was almost like I want to say like the Predators, but the Predators seemed to like turn it around. So I don't want to get into the Predators right now. This is gonna be real quick because that was terrible. I mean, I think it was like a 7-1 loss. We were in fourth place.
7-1.
Fourth place at one time. I don't know what
I'm not just
happened.
blaming you on that, but I mean, where the hell are the other
Well,
players?
well, they did score a goal.
A goal.
Well, yeah. I mean, we should still win. I don't know. I don't even remember the goals. I don't even remember the. I mean, I know there was a lot. It was like 2-0 at one. First off, um, I know the first couple were rebound goals that I should have had. I don't know. One was like hit the bar. I mean, there's like top corner hit the bar. Probably should have had that one. I don't know. I got to brush it off, and we got a big game coming up this week against an undefeated team, first place team. So maybe we can give them their first loss.
Wait, you were. Since when did you become the most optimistic person in this planet?
I gotta look.
You just dropped a 7-1 game to a beatable team. You said, and now you're going to play an unbeatable team and hand them their first loss.
Well, earlier in the season, we beat a team that we never beat before,
So there's hope. I'll give you that hope.
and they were.
I mean, I had to bust your balls a little bit, but yeah, you know what? I'll give it to you.
And the
You guys
funny
could
thing
have.
is, and the funny thing is, the team we played that we just lost to. Obviously, it's a different team, different player. That there might be a couple of the same players. I'm not sure, but going back probably 6, 7 years, it was their first season. It was in the summer. I had scored, and I only got one career hat trick, at least in a league setting.
Yep, me too.
And well, that was your first game.
My first game.
Maybe your second. You had 4 that game, but I had 3
I
goals,
remember all this.
and it was in the summer. I was against that team, and I don't remember. I might have been the same goalie too. I
So
can't
you're
remember.
so you're telling me you had a hat trick against this team?
Yeah, but they're a lot different players now. I mean,
Oh, because I was going to say then y'all
the
better
goalie.
find yourself a different goalie because Dan is hot against this team.
I don't know. I've been kind of struggling lately, but I don't know. It's like I don't know.
I think it's
But
time to hang up the pads because I
I
feel like we're
played.
just having this repeating Dan every single week.
I played pretty good tonight, but it wasn't a league. It was like they
The
not a
Zamboni.
true league. Yeah. So anyway,
Kansas based.
um, I guess we can roll into Preds recaps now, and then we can roll in the wings.
Sure.
So it started off with Boston. That was actually
The straw that broke the
that was
camel's
last.
back is what we're
That
going to
was
call that, D-Law.
that
You
was
broke
last.
Boston.
Oh, they won that game, didn't they?
You broke Boston.
Oh, that's right. That was in Boston.
Holy crap, D-Law, you can take this to the grave. You always like little stats like this. The Predators caused the Boston Bruins to explode.
Well,
Literally.
I,
Now you can
I
take that
mean,
one to the grave because you like
but
saying stuff like that.
yeah, but I think that wasn't their last game before the trade deadline, though.
No, but I'm sure that sparked the fire to say, "Hey, we just got spanked in our own building. It's time to blow this up and get some draft picks."
Well, the Predators got enough of them. Yeah, I don't know. The Bruins were 1-5-2 in going into that game in their last eight, and I don't know. Just
I mean, this is what
oh,
happens when you go all in on every player every year. Like they were always going after those big ticket guys.
the
You know,
Predators.
no. Boston.
No, well, they had the same guys for a long time.
No, I get that, but then you add guys like, um, what's his name there? Was it Lindholm
Oh,
on the
and
back end?
Hampus from the Ducks.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I mean, you add like you go all in on these guys, and you're giving up all your draft picks to get them. And like even when they brought Bertuzzi and they gave up draft picks to get him, you keep giving up your draft picks every year. Your prospect pool gets, you know, more and more depleted. And now they're starting to see that as they're not getting the guys to come up and start playing. I talk about this with my buddy who's a diehard Bruins fan, and he's been saying for probably about a year now that they need to just implode. They need to just pull the trigger. But I'm sorry, I totally hijacked the Preds there.
and
But you guys
yeah,
broke Boston.
well, I mean, it didn't start off that great for the Preds. I mean, Charlie Coyle scored, just opened the scoring, and then Tommy Novak end up tying it. He gets traded. Ryan O'Reilly put him up 2-1. He didn't get traded though.
No, not yet. Well, not this year.
And then Jordan Osterley, he tied the game, and then he gets traded to the Predators, and that's got to that had to have been like a weird thing for him because he had played against the Predators, scored a goal, and then the next game he plays, he's a Predator.
That must have been a fun locker room conversation.
But he's like, "Yeah, my last goal was against you guys." Sitting next to, well, actually, Saros didn't play the next game.
Sitting next to Noonan.
Sitting next to
Hey, sorry, I had to
Saros.
break your
Hey,
back last night.
sitting next to Saros in the locker room. Well, oh, yeah, remember that goal? Yeah, it was a good goal. Oh, wait a minute, it was kind of a lucky goal. I don't know, but then Stamkos, he's been hot lately. But then the typical third period thought it was gonna be a meltdown, but they luckily they were able to keep them keep them at bay, and they ended up getting a couple of goals like midway through the period, March or so, and O'Reilly, so the big guns starting to score, and then Jankowski hit empty net, and then what happens? They traded him, kind of ruining the the trade portion, and then they move on to they go back home, and then they got Seattle. Then I don't know what's going on with Seattle, but you know the Preds. I actually was able. Actually, this was the game. This was the same day as my total collapse, so I didn't really get to see the game. So probably a good thing, maybe, because I don't know. But Forsberg, he gets a couple goals, and Luca Evangelista, he was empty that goal, and then of course Seattle's new. They had just traded for Esama. I guess he was on Tampa Bay. He ended up scoring a goal, but Predators ended up pulling a 5-3 win at home. So, and like I said, that was the same day that I collapsed in my game. So, and then they move on to a Saturday night showdown with the Blackhawks. Thrilling game. I mean, I watched this game and I'm like, it was just they played really good. They came out flying in the first part of the game. Noonan started this game against Chicago, so I remember saying how teams were playing their backups against Predators. Well, I guess the Predators kind of did that to the Blackhawks. But I tell you what, I believe it was Soderblom.
Soderblom.
Soderblom. They call him
Oh,
Soderblom. It's not
the
Blom, but
goalie.
yeah, he. I don't know if he's related to the one on Detroit.
That I have no idea.
He. It's not the one that was on Detroit. But I don't know if they're related. But he was just so unbelievable. The Predators ended up winning in overtime. To kind of spoil my recap here, but yeah, the Predators came out flying. And they had a 4-0 shots on goal lead early, and the Predators had just claimed Verana from waivers from Washington, and he, he had a great chance out of the net on the power play and got absolutely robbed by Soderblom. And yeah, it could have been a blowout if it wasn't for that goalie. Um, but the Blackhawks, they ended up scoring first in this game, and they were trapped. They had the Predators trapped in the zone, and I remember saying, kind of probably talking to myself because there was nobody there, but I was like, "Come on, Preds, get it out of the zone. It's gonna get there's gonna be a goal." As soon as I got done saying that to myself, what happens? The Blackhawks score a goal. So maybe I shouldn't have thought that. But that's always what happens. You're getting attacked in the zone, and they had a couple chances to clear the zone and didn't, and it always ends up, no matter what team it is. It seems like that it always happens. No matter it could be any team in the league. It just seems like that's hockey. Even beer league or youth hockey or any. It just seems like you get trapped in the zone like that, and you get a couple chances to clear the zone and don't, and it ends up in the back of your net. It just, yeah, I don't know. It's like the hockey gods. They're like, there you go. You had 2 chances, 3 chances to clear it. It's gonna end up in the back of your net. I don't know. Um, but Stamkos ended up scoring a power play goal, and I believe they actually had a 4-minute power play, and then which they actually reviewed. They reviewed the penalty. They called a penalty, and then they ended up reviewing it. So I don't know. They must have called a major, or maybe can they review a 4-minute? I thought they could only review major penalties. Maybe they,
That I'm not sure.
because I don't think they called a major it off. But anyway, because they came back at and looked at it and said it was 4 minutes. So, um, but they did score on the first part of that 4 minute, and that was Stamkos's. Actually, that was his first goal, and then he scored again, his second goal of the game, and that one he passed Mike Bossy on the goals for the NHL goals with I believe it's like 500 or 600, something like that. So it's not like Ovechkin. He's still a couple hundred behind that. But Brady Shea, he got a delay game penalty. I think he probably thought he was playing running back for the Titans because he caught the puck. It was definitely a delay game. He caught the puck, held the puck in his hand, turned, and then he dropped it. He had the puck in his hand for probably 2 or 3 seconds. I don't know why the ref took that long to blow the puck, or blow the whistle, but and then he's looking at him like, "You gonna call a penalty?" It's like, he, I don't know why they bother arguing because it was obvious. You can't hold the puck, carry the puck like you're running like a football running back.
Hey, you got to give him an A for effort, I guess.
It was
Give it a shot.
kind of a cool play, but then the Blackhawks end up tying it. But there was a challenge. The Predators challenged it, and it was deemed offside. So that kept the Predators. Actually, that kept the lead, and then Barron, Justin Barron, yeah, huge, nice big clean hit on Nazar. I think Nazar was a one-time senator, I believe. But then, I mean, it was almost immediately. Kirby Doc ended up jumping him in the corner, and they need to get that part of the garbage out of the game. I mean, it was a nice, clean, big hit, and then a guy jumps you and then they end up fighting. It's like it was a clean hit. It wasn't a dirty hit, and it just I don't know. I'm not gonna go on a rant about that. But that Blackhawks ended up with 2 minor penalties on that play because of it, and but they ended up eventually I think they killed that off. They ended up eventually tying it at 2, and then went to overtime, and it was the first Predators overtime since Chicago in January, and Chicago had played 3 straight overtime games, so that was kind of funny. And then Stamkos capped off his hat trick in overtime, so a nice little win. What did I say? 3 wins? 3 wins? Boston, Seattle, Chicago. They got a 3-game winning streak. That's something I haven't said very much lately. Watch out, they might hit the playoffs. Well, maybe if they could count every win as 4 points, because that's about the only way to get in the playoffs. But yeah, that's
Hope, I guess.
that's my recaps, and like I had just mentioned before we jump into the wings, I had mentioned how Novak is gone. They end up trading Novak and Shen to Pittsburgh for your favorite player, the Rookie of the Year candidate, Michael Bunting.
Is he the rookie?
And the 4th-round pick for next year's 4th-round pick. So
how many goals does that rookie have?
I think he's got like 8, but he hasn't played yet. So I don't know.
Rookie of the Year candidate running strong, 2025.
I know they made a couple of trades, but I'll get to them a little bit later.
All kidding aside,
actually,
he's in the NHL. I don't care if he's a 30-year-old rookie. He's in the NHL. I mean, how awesome could that be?
Yeah. Actually, I missed
credit. So, I'm going to bust his chops. I don't know the guy, but he seems like I don't know.
But I know Trust called him the national type of player, so I don't know. But actually, Jordan Osterley was a waiver pick, not a trade. Just like Verona was a waiver claim. So I'm not sure why. I mean, Osterley just scored in Boston, put him on waivers, probably because of all the trades he made. But yeah, so that's. I think there's a couple more Preds trades, but let's roll right into your recaps first.
Hey, do you have that little cricket soundbite still or no?
Oh, where is it?
Because here's the trades that the Red Wings did. Hit it, Daniel. Come on, don't let me down here. Uh-oh. D-Law, that's the wrong one.
I don't think I have it.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's pretty much... Am I done? That's pretty much the Detroit's trade block any conversation period. I mean, we'll get into it, but Obviously we re-signed an old friend. We took
I
on
thought
the
you
salary cap.
I thought you were talking about your recats first.
No, I am. We're not getting into specifics. I'm just
Oh, okay.
explaining. I'm just explaining that Detroit did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. They needed to see where Detroit is, D-Law, and you can probably agree with me. They're on that bubble. They either make a move and get into the playoffs. I mean, we've been on the bubble for like 3 years now. So make a move and get yourselves into the playoffs, get some experience in the playoffs, and make some decisions then. Or you stand pat and you keep waiting for your prospects. And I'm not doubting the Iser plan. I said in the last few episodes I can't doubt him anymore. I'm not going to doubt him. But I'm just disappointed as a fan that he didn't do anything. Literally, nearly anything. So it looks like we are going to continue to be just on that bubble. I mean, there's still some time left. My fingers are crossed that we can sneak in, but we're on a pretty bad skid and just seems down. People are down in the locker room. But we go to our first game here, and we got Carolina coming in to play Detroit, and Carolina was just all over them. Jordan Martinook, he just owned Detroit the entire time. Scored the first goal of the game. He assisted on Jordan Stahl's goal, and that was pretty much it. I mean, Detroit just they just seemed flat-footed. They weren't aggressive in their own zone. They had a lot of takeaway or giveaways. They didn't look good. I mean, they just came out flat. They did not look good in that game. Detroit drops it 2-1. And, the only bright spot of the game, and I say this every week, and, I'm hoping this is part of that Yeiser plan, but Elmer Soderblom, he gets a nice goal, on his own there, unassisted. But, yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking about it. And, watching these games, and you just see him like, this not this one. I guess I'll save this for a second because I'm going to jump the gun, and I just don't want to. But yeah, then we invite Utah in to pretty much bully us around as well, and another game where they're flat. They look lost in their own zone. Yeah, I don't even know. Detroit couldn't win a face-off to save their life, and they just the giveaways that Detroit had in this game were just atrocious. Defensive zone giveaways, like I get it. Utah had more giveaways in this game. Detroit got the puck, on more opportunities. But where Detroit was giving the puck up was the issue. And there was just no compete. It was just, just like I talked about before, the 50-50 pucks, they weren't going after them. Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing Detroit likes to do here once in a while is blow their lead. I had to think about that for a second, D-Law. But you had Larkin and Berggren score back-to-back in the first period, taking that momentum into the second period, and Detroit they fell short. Schmaltz, Stenlund, Krause, there's your game right there. So Detroit, and especially next game that I talk about against Washington, it's just terrible. It's embarrassing how they just give up. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. They go into the locker room with a lead, and they come out and act like they've never played hockey before in their life. It's incredible to me.
Kind of like the Preds.
Well, I mean, they're on how many game winning streak did you just brag about?
Well, before that.
Yeah, I mean, in this game here, Detroit, again, turned the puck over more times in their defensive zone. And the same buddy that I talked to, there's only a few people I talk about hockey with. You, my buddy, and then there's one other buddy. And I was talking to my buddy who's a Boston fan, and he was sitting there, watching the game and just saying like how, because he lives down in that area, but how flat Detroit looked. Their defensive breakdowns were just awful. And he was telling me that As an outsider looking in, Detroit needs to make a move for a defenseman. Obviously, he's not a GM. Obviously, he's not trying to be a GM, but just from, again, just watching how defensively we break down, you've got guys losing, um, like Sherratt. I like Sherratt. I do. There's been a few times where he's been spun like a top. This game here, Detroit comes out with a 2-1 lead going into the third period. Game looks good. Detroit absolutely implodes. Gave up 4 straight goals. Another multi-game scorer, another point game scorer with Alexei Protas. I'm probably saying that completely wrong, but he's got his 25th of the season. But Detroit just looked flat. They looked absolutely flat. And a couple of those, sure, you can blame on goaltending. But when the product in front of the goalie isn't doing anything and they look like the way that they looked, yeah, you're going to run into issues like that. So Detroit needs to just, they I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do here, D-Law. I sit here and I think about it, and it's like, yeah, I'd love for them. It's like back when Scotty Bowman was a coach. It almost seemed like when they were down in the third period, he'd go in and just, there was a little on-off button or something he'd push, and the guys would come out and they would finish these games and comeback wins and exciting hockey. But this team, man, I don't know. I don't know if they're just soft, and I don't mean that like to be rude, but like, God, when you get down, you got to have that fight and that compete to come back. Any game is within reach. Even if you go into the third period with down 3 goals, I mean, look at 4 unanswered by Washington. It can happen in a period.
Well, they didn't let Ovechkin score.
No, they had him pretty locked up, but that's all right. Detroit's on a losing skid, just on the outside looking in. It's like I'm window shopping every year, D-Law. It's like Christmas. Like, ooh, man, I would love a motorcycle, or, oh, man, I would love to go buy that 100 acres out in Boontown, But it's just on the outside looking in.
Again.
Yeah, it's just year after. I mean, this is a third year now, and it's frustrating as a Wings fan. I mean, how long do I have to be told to be patient?
Well, they're still not out of it. They're only 3 points behind Ottawa. So there's still hope that they can right the
Oh yeah,
ship.
no, I'm not doubting that Detroit can definitely sneak into a playoff spot. I mean, they're just not. Watching them play Washington and how Washington just dialed it up in the third period. Detroit's just not there yet. I mean, yeah, they're young, yeah, they're developing, but we just don't have any of the star power that they have, and we're not trying to get it.
Washington is also elite. I mean, they're tied with Winnipeg for first place. So, I mean, I don't think it's fair to Detroit to. I mean, they were in the game for a little, at least through the first period. But then, Washington just took over. But, just it's not fair to Detroit to gauge their season, their current situation with Washington, who's really they found their game and actually they're kind of like came out of nowhere. I didn't think Washington would be where they are. I thought they'd be in the playoffs, but nowhere did I think they'd be at 92 points right now. But saying that, it just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you got to compare them with like teams that are around them, like Boston, Montreal, the Rangers, but they're in all 4 of those teams have had up and down seasons. So and I guess that's the model. That's what the NHL. You got to be more consistent. You can't have like inconsistency, and I guess that goes for any sport, really.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So your recaps. You done?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I mean, just implosion. A week of
Okay.
implosion. We got to right the ship. I mean, they're not going to lose out the rest of the season, but now you're putting yourself into a position where now you need teams to start losing. So now you're starting to. I mean, we ran into this game last year, and look what happened to us. I mean, the Capitals took that last wild card spot because of the whole. What was it?
Philadelphia
Philly
thing.
pulled the goalie with like 8 minutes left. But yeah, I mean now Detroit's in a position where we got to get the Rangers. They need to fall out. They need to have some. I mean, they're what are they? Well, they just lost their last one. Detroit's on a 5-game losing skid, so I'm guessing that they're probably due just by the law of averages that they're probably gonna win one here. But now now you're fighting with the Rangers. You're
You
fighting with Ottawa. You're fighting with Columbus, who you just
but
dropped 2 games to. I mean, Detroit
yeah,
needs
those are
help now.
huge. But the Rangers have played one more game than Detroit. So
Yeah, but still, I
and
mean,
Boston's played 2 more games. So they got that. That's good for. I mean, their time with
Boston's
Boston.
done.
Well,
Boston's
Boston
done.
they got
Take them out.
66.
Scratch them right off.
They got 66 points. So
Ela, they
they're
just blew up their team. They're not going anywhere.
well.
They've realized that they're not going anywhere. If you're trying to fight for the playoffs, you don't get rid of Brad Marchand. You don't. Why do you get rid of him if you're not if you're making a run for the playoffs?
So much for the teaser. But I don't know. So I'd like to just kind
Do,
of
do, do,
piggyback off
do.
that. I'd like to just piggyback off that and go into trades, but let's be real quick before we dissect the trades because the trades are going to be like probably the most part of the show. I just saw that Utah's Connor Ingram. Of course, we own the Predators. He was a former Predator, and before they signed him on waivers, and Arizona picked him up, and that's why he's on Utah. But he's going into the Players Assistance Program, so that's a huge loss for Utah. So hopefully Ingram can get back. And it's like seems like a lot of these NHL players are going into that for one reason or another. I don't know if it's alcohol or drugs or whatever.
You know what though? I
Everything
think
is
it's good.
bad. I just
You know
don't
what it is?
understand.
You know what it is, D Law,
Maybe
in my
maybe
opinion. Go ahead.
maybe other sports have something like that, and we just don't know. Not really paying attention. But it just seems like the NHL's got almost. I don't know what percentage, so I'm not going to even say. But it just seems like there's a lot of NHL players are going in there or have been in there. Just I don't know. I mean, is it the nature being NHL being really physical, tough sport? I mean, football is probably just as tough as NHL. I don't know.
No, I think the NHL. I think those guys are much tougher. No offense to. I think the NFL players are extremely much stronger. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of toughness, I don't know. I got to go with the NHL players. I mean, think about this. You're taking a slap shot to the face. It knocks out 6 of your teeth. A football player, they're out. They're done. That's it. I mean, I shouldn't say that for sure because obviously it doesn't happen. But I've seen guys get their eyes poked, get a stepped on, which that all sucks. But an NHL player who gets 6 of his teeth knocks out, bends over, picks him up, skates to the bench, and hands him to the trainer and gets ready for his next shift. Like he doesn't even miss a beat. Shove a towel up there till the bleeding stops and you keep playing. I don't know, that's pretty tough to me. But yeah, do you want to get into the trade tracker? I'm not seeing the trade tracker here, so I'm just gonna kind of follow your lead at the moment because I've got mine pulled up.
It was on the news section, or actually, yeah, news. But just real quick before that, Jack. I think I only really seen one big injury. Jack Hughes is out for the season. He's having surgery. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but Um, and so yeah, and then just kind of backtracking, Ovechkin, he scored again an empty net goal. So he's nine. He needs down to nine, so single digits now. 13 games to do it quicker than Gretzky, but it just seems like he's had a lot of empty net goals. He's got like 33 goals this season. I wonder if 30 of them were empty net goals.
It's just incredible.
It just seems like every goal lately has been empty net goals for him. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of trades, and I think,
I think we should just focus on the big ones.
yeah,
'Cause there's a lot.
I believe we talked about the Seth Jones last show because that was on the 1st of March.
Yeah, we did because I was hoping that the Wings were gonna
Yeah,
make some kind of a
um,
play for a defenseman. He was one that
Edmonton.
could fit.
Edmonton was kind of active, and Boston.
See, I
Boston was
think
involved in that one.
I want to talk about that one for a second. So,
Let's see, yeah, Edmonton. Trent Frederick. He was a Bruin, right?
yeah, I was just going to explain that. Yeah, he got that. So the Oilers got Trent Frederick.
Mag-
But what they got in return was definitely, it was worth it. Again, they're blowing up the team. So they got a young guy, D Max. I think my buddy said he's young, but I don't know who he is.
Max Jones. Yeah, I don't. I think he's younger. I don't.
No, it's not Mac Jones. That's their quarterback.
Max Max
Oh,
Max.
oh! You're talking about who?
Yeah,
I
Edmonton.
see. And yes, I'm
And
talking
Peter.
about Warner, the defenseman.
Oh yeah, Max Warner. Yeah, two Maxes involved in it.
Yeah,
And
but they
then
got. But what's
couple
more intriguing to me are the two picks, because they're, as you can see, they're starting to try to build that draft
second round
pick back up. Yeah, but it's still.
and a fourth
I mean,
round.
for Frederick, he's just a
And
tougher, more physical forward.
and then also Florida was involved. They were really busy. Obviously, they got a couple goalies. They got Vanacek from San Jose for Patrick Giles. But I mean, I think definitely a win for Florida. Not sure.
I want to talk about the Wings trade here. So the details of the Wings trade, they're involved in this funky three-way trade where they got a conditional 2025 fourth-round pick, Tampa Bay or Edmonton. I have no idea how this works. And they also end up retaining 25% of Yanni Gourde's salary, in which he was moved back to Tampa Bay along with Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Oh yeah, Yanni Gourde is going. He was originally Tampa.
Yeah.
And so he's going back there. So he got traded to Detroit, and then Detroit traded him. That's how that worked.
I mean, apparently.
Then Detroit ended up with a conditional
25% of their. So apparently,
I'm wondering.
Yanni Gourde's salary, 25% of it is worth a fourth round pick.
So I'm wondering. It says a conditional. So I'm wondering if it's maybe conditional that he signs with Tampa. But I don't know.
I'm not sure.
And then SMAT was involved in that trade, which I had mentioned in my recap. Oh,
wait a second here. I'm just reading this, and there's 25% missing. So the Lightning get Yanni Gourde, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Kyle O'Coin, 2026 fifth-round pick, and they retain 50% of Gourde's salary. The Kraken get the center Michael Eyssimont, 2025 second-round pick from Toronto.
It
was Toronto's. And then a first-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. So they got two first-rounders.
One next year and the 1 year after.
And a second round for those two players. And then it doesn't say anything about them. I'm guessing they have to retain 25% of the salary as well. Because if you have the Wings 25%, the Lightning's 25 or 50%, that's only 75%.
Wow. And Of course, real briefly, the Sharks traded with the Penguins Vincent Desharnais for a fifth round draft pick in 2028. So that's like 3 years down the line. So, and then of course we were I already mentioned the Bunting trade to the Predators. Florida active again. Nico Sturm, who's a pretty good. I think he's a veteran now, and a seventh round pick for a fourth round pick that to San Jose. Um, let's see. They also the Jets. They got Chris Drieger from Florida for Capo Kakinen. So Florida stacked up on a couple of goaltenders, Vanacek and now Capo Kakinen.
Yeah, but where? I mean, some of these guys are gonna have to go down. That would. I mean, how many do they have? I'm just looking that up right now. They've
they
got
got
Alexander. Oh wait, let me see.
no,
Bobrovsky.
Bobrovsky, Kakinen, and Vanacek.
Check up.
I don't think that's all they got because the other they traded Spencer Knight. That
Nope,
was
that's right.
that was in the. I think that was the Seth Jones trade, right? We talked about last week.
Yeah, but they're getting. They're going in. They're putting that insurance package back there now.
And then of course Vegas. They got Riley Smith from the Rangers for Brennan Brisson and a third round pick. That was probably a win for Vegas. Riley Smith is a pretty decent player. I think Brisson might be kind of young. I'm not sure about him. And
Actually, the Bruins got another pick.
The Rangers also made another deal with Vancouver, Carson Soucy, for a draft pick. So, like I had mentioned, there's a lot of draft picks swapping in this year's trade. Colorado was another big mover. They got Brock Nelson and Dufour. He must be a younger player from the Islanders.
Yeah, I know that in the trade before that, Brazeau went from Boston.
Oh, that's right. Another Boston trade. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
More draft picks.
And a couple of probably younger players. Well, a 6th-round pick.
You know which one really surprises me? D-Law. You know which trade of all of them? I should say of all of them. But Brock Nelson getting dealt.
Brock, he was like on the Islanders like
long time.
So he's I would consider a
Colorado.
veteran.
He went to Colorado.
And then, of course, there was one that was pretty much Ducks and Islanders. Future considerations, again, the future considerations really moved around a lot.
Yeah. And the Oilers, they took Jake Wallman.
Your old buddy Jake Wallman.
Gritty.
They traded him to San Jose, right?
Yeah, for Carl Berglund and a conditional 26.
That was so. He's been on San Jose for 1 or 2 years, was it?
2.
Okay, and of course Capitals, and again they
got Beauvillier for 2025,
and then Ottawa, Dylan Cousins from the Sabres. I don't know what's going on with the Sabres.
They're in. I mean, they must be in sell mode.
While they are down there last,
Kuzmenko, he went to the Kings.
Kuzmenko,
like this. Are you going to talk about the Jets one next?
Yeah. After the Predators traded Luke Schenn to Pittsburgh, they went and traded Luke Schenn to Winnipeg, who's in the Predators division, and they got a better return. The Penguins end up getting a second round, or
a second and a fourth.
Second and a fourth.
One's next year and one's the year after.
And the Predators only got, they also traded Tommy Novak, I thought he was a younger player, but Trask called him a veteran. They only got a 4th-round pick in Bunting for those two players, and the Penguins traded Luke Shen and got second round pick. So and a fourth round. So they end up getting So that's kind of head scratching. Why couldn't if the Penguins got that for Luke Shen? Why couldn't the Predators get something like that? I think the Penguins played them.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they had that all in plan because I don't even think he played a game. Detroit went and made a big splash.
Big splash. What world do you live in? So no, what they did was they picked up Peter Mrazek again to see if we can. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back. I don't know. Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith. I don't know why we're bringing those guys back, but we're bringing them, or not Craig Smith, but Mrazek back. We gave up Joe Veleno.
You must
not
have liked.
Not much of a move.
Veleno was really good. He played really good against the Predators. So he played in the Saturday Chicago game, which is kind of surprising because it was that day, wasn't it? So he must have. No, it was the day before. It was the 7th was a Friday. But Craig Smith is a former Predator. He was never on their wings, right? He went right to Chicago. Must be.
Who are you talking?
Craig Smith. Craig Smith. But yeah, they must.
Not a wing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because Okay. So he must have went right from Predators to Chicago. But the Wings must not want to get rid of Peter Mrazek at the time when they got rid of him. So I don't. That was a. No, wait. Did they trade him to Carolina or was he on Carolina? I don't remember where. Because I know he was on Carolina and Detroit, but did they trade him to Carolina or did they get him from Carolina? I don't remember what.
I don't remember.
But
who, Mrazek?
Yeah.
No, he was on Detroit first. Detroit drafted him.
Okay, so then they traded him to Carolina. I don't know what they got then, but they must not have wanted him. They must not have really wanted to leave. I don't know. Who knows? Well, he's back, and hopefully it works out for both.
Yeah.
But another former Predator gets traded, Luke Kunin, which I liked in the Predators. He was in San Jose. They moved him to the Blue Jackets, which that's Columbus. They're in the wild card one spot, and that's a pretty good move for Columbus, and they could be dangerous in the playoffs. Depends on who they play in the first round, but they give up a fourth round pick, so and that could be huge. Give up fourth round pick, and he's definitely he's that player that can score and be physical and fight. So I think that's a good win for Columbus, I believe. And then of course the Jets, they're still active. They were pretty active. They got Brandon Tanev from Seattle for a second round pick. I don't know. I mean, he might be pretty good. Be going to the Jets, who are a top team, so it might spark them. But a second round pick going to Seattle, I kind of think Seattle kind of won that one. I mean, we got to see what happens with Tanev. He might, start lighting the lamp, or maybe he'll be sparked the Jets, but it might be, a run for the Stanley Cup too. So, but that, I think that was a really good return for Tanev.
Yeah.
And then, Chris Toronto, they got Scott Lawton from Philadelphia. That could be a good move for them. They also got a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick, and they gave up Nikita Grabenkin and a first round pick. So they kind of gave up a lot there. First round pick that was in the 2027, so that's 2 years down the line. So who knows what Toronto's going to be in 2 years? It could be a low pick, could be a high pick. Who knows? No one Toronto. Who knows? The Devils, getting Dennis Cholowski. Didn't he? Was he? Was he a wing?
Yes, he was.
He was on the Islanders. He went from the Islanders to the Devils, so he pretty much stays in the same city. Uh, they'd give Adam Beckman, which I don't recall that name, so I think the Islanders might be getting younger because I think Cholowski's more older. In fact, or is he still young?
Well, he's middle. I mean, he's middle. I mean, he's
So he's
average defense.
kind
Yeah.
of a low end veteran then. And of course, Colorado makes another big splash. This is all on Friday. A lot of trades on Friday. Oh, actually, Friday was a trade deadline. um, Colorado, Boston's active here. The case, Charlie Coyle, Browns and the Bruins get Casey Middlestat, which I kind of heard rumors that might be going to the Predators, but I don't know why that was a rumor because Predators were sellers. So, um, and they also got William Zellers in the second round pick in that trade. So I think Casey Middleton is getting more towards. He's not such a younger player, and he's kind of like middle, I believe. He's been in the league for what 3 4 years now. Um, and they also got Eric Johnson from the Flyers for Giovanni Smith. I believe he was a former wing.
He's just. I mean, he fits the Trotz team. Just a physical. I mean, I don't know where he's been or what he's been doing or what if he's even playing very much. But
you mean Philadelphia Tortorella? Not Trotz.
That's what I meant. Tortorella. Jeez.
Oh,
I'm tired, D-Law.
Our old buddy, the Cup Smasher. The Rangers.
Your buddy.
He's going to the Rangers. Oh, Bay Kubel from Buffalo. He was on Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember talking about that last season.
Jesus, do you have dementia?
For Eric Brandstrom, so that I don't know. I guess he probably didn't do much in Buffalo, so not sure about this one for Chicago.
See,
Shea Weber. That's not the Shea Weber. That must be another Shea Weber.
I think it is.
He retired like a few years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know how that all works. I have not looked into that one.
There is nothing to repeat.
Oh, shut up.
The one that I actually think is very interesting is so Boston. Let me see here. Where did I just read that?
The Dallas.
No, Boston flipped Edmonton's pick for Yoki Haru.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that is. I mean, he's young, he's good, and they gave up Edmonton's 2026 first round pick or fourth round pick.
They got him from Buffalo.
They did, and I think that's a great pickup because they're getting draft picks. They're offloading the older age players and bringing in very young players. So that is more of a retool to me than a rebuild.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not imploding the entire team. I mean, you still have like Charlie McAvoy, you've got Jeremy Swayman. Like you still have your big name players, but you're retooling them. You're bringing in other people.
And then, of course, another former Predator, Cody Glass. He's going to New Jersey along with John Gruden. Isn't he like a commentator for football?
No, he's a coach.
Coach. Must be.
Must be his son, Johnny Jr.
Same names. He was on Penguins, and Penguins get Chase Stillman and Max Graham in a third round pick. So Cody Glass is kind of a what do you call those journeymen.
Yep.
And then of course another Predators trade. They traded Jankowski. Kind of sad to see him go. Again, Trotz called him a veteran.
I've seen that on here. When did that happen?
That happened on Friday. They traded to Carolina for a fifth round pick. So Probably could have got a little bit more, maybe a third, but Trask called Jankowski a veteran. I always thought of him as a younger player, but I guess he's been in the minors. Maybe that's why. But and the Devils, they got Sprong from Seattle for another draft pick,
He came
and
from Detroit. He's
oh
another
yeah,
journeyman.
and
I kind of liked
I
his
believe
game.
he was on the Penguins too, I believe. And then Ottawa, I don't think they were too active. They got Fabian Zetterlund. Was he a wing or and they
No,
got him from San Jose? Okay, so must be he must have been. I must have been thinking of an RZ, but
Zetterberg.
well, that was like years ago. But anyway, they got him and
No,
Tristan
Zetterlund ended up
Robbins.
drafted by the Devils
Oh, okay, because he was on the Sharks.
and ended up with the Sharks, right?
And then the Sharks ended up with Zach Ostapachuk and Noah Gregor and a second round pick. And then the Penguins, and again, they acquired Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar. I'm saying the name wrong. From Toronto. I believe, didn't Toronto make a trade for him and flip him? And of course, the Devils, they got Mark McLaughlin from the Bruins, so they, another Boston trade for Daniel Misselou. And just before the big one, the another big one. I think there's two more big ones we got to talk about. The Dallas got Mikko Rantanen from Carolina, which had Carolina acquired him earlier in the season, and he really didn't seem to amount to much in Carolina. I don't know if he must not have been happy, but he scored in his debut with Dallas. I think he at least one, maybe two. And Carolina got Logan Stankoven, which I really liked it because he was on Dallas, and so I've seen him a lot, playing the Predators, and he's just Logan Stankoven. He's a really good player. So I mean, yeah, they gave up Mikko Rantanen, but he didn't really do much. I mean, he was on for Carolina maybe a couple months, if that, and he really didn't do much. So I think that was a huge win for Carolina. Actually, probably a huge win for both teams, really. And Carolina also got a first round pick in 2026, a first round pick in 2028, a third round pick in 2026, and a third round pick in 2027. So for a player that I don't remember what they actually gave up. If I had to look back, I think it was a decent player. It was Neckish, wasn't it? I think. But anyway, for a player that they acquired, I mean, they might have gave up a decent amount to get him in the first place. But for a player that's only on your team for a couple, 3 months and really didn't do much for you, to get that much in return is a really. I would say I'd have to call that a win for Carolina, even though it's also a win for Dallas. But I think I'd have to give Carolina the edge on that one. And before the big one, Boston had also made a trade with Toronto. Toronto acquired Brandon Carlo for Fraser Minton and a first round pick, conditional first round pick next year, and a fourth round pick this year. And then of course Toronto also got Reese Johnson from Minnesota for future considerations. But the big one of the trading season, I'll let you take that one.
Brad Marchand leaving Boston. I just think that's. I think that shows two franchises that are on the opposite spectrum of the success meter. You've got Boston, who's dwindling. They're not going anywhere. Their guys are aging out. You've got Marchand, who's got a couple years maybe left in the tank. He's obviously on the downswing, like we've talked about. He's going to hit that downswing at some point, and he's there now. But Florida is all in, and with Tkachuk being injured, they don't have that I don't want to say that physical presence. Marchand plays somewhat of a physical game, but I mean, if you're replacing a rat, who do you want to replace it with? Obviously, another rat. So I think it's a great move for both teams. I think Boston, um, I think it. Like I said, it just kind of shows that they're in rebuild mode. They're starting over, but they got a conditional 2027 pick. But sorry, go ahead, D-Law.
Well, I was just gonna say the weird thing is apparently Marchand is injured. I don't know how serious he'll probably end up playing this year, but is Kachuk injured for the season or is he coming back?
I don't remember how long his injury is for.
But could you imagine if they put Kachuk and Marchand on that same line?
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's why they did it. I mean, what's probably going to happen is they'll probably long-term IR Marchand, get him rehab for the playoffs, and then pull a Tampa Bay or a Vegas. I mean, why not? It's not illegal. You'll let Marchand get completely healed up. He's older. He needs that time. And then once you get playoff bound, you're full bore. So I think it's a great move by both teams. Boston still gets a pick. Like I said, they're trying to recuperate their picks. They're trying to build that prospect pool that's just kind of been depleted. So yeah, I think that was a good trade. What do you think, D-Law? I just never thought I'd see him leave ever.
It's intriguing. It's like I'm almost. I mean, I don't know how Bruins fans feel. I mean, it's got to be like I was sorry. I hated to see Nyquist
anybody go ever,
but it's like, well, I wasn't too. I was more worried. I was more upset about the Novak and Nyquist trade than Shen. I didn't really care. I mean, it would have been nice if they would have got a little bit more for him, but we'll see how Bunting does and if he actually plays a game for him. But it just Verano looked pretty good, and he was a waiver claim. Maybe and he had played under Trotz in Washington and won a cup with him, so probably why he claimed him. But yeah, I like Luke Shen, but I was not sad to see him go. To be honest,
I get it.
Might hate me up from the Preds fans or whatever, but yeah, I was more sad to see Nyquist go. I really like Nyquist, as long as just real quick before we jump in, I just wanted a quick comment. Trotz made a comment on the trade situation. He was actually talking the whole second period with the Predators broadcasters, which was pretty cool. Not a lot of GMs do that. For the whole period. Usually it's a couple minutes here and there, but this is Trott's comments about the trade. I don't think we expected to be here where we are. The plan is in pen, and it always has been, but the path is in pencil. The plan hasn't changed, but how we're going to get there has, because we're in a selling mode rather than a buying mode. It's a lot more fun being in the buying mode, and today was difficult. So,
man, I didn't know I would get a free play on this show. Thanks, D-Law.
What?
No, nothing. You read your line very well.
That was Trotz.
I know, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I kind of interrupted what you were talking about. So if you remember what you were saying, I'll let you finish before we move on.
No, I'm good. We can move on.
So I guess we can move on to the week. Oh wait, I almost jumped past the PredWings 10.
I haven't done mine, D-Law, so I'm gonna hear you out this week.
Just real quick, Florida, I got them on top there, 6-game winning streak right now. They're really, plus they've really improved in the trade. Washington rebounded, got them in second. They are on a 4-game winning streak. And then Carolina, they are also on a 4-game winning streak. And then I got Vegas moving in to number 4. They are on a well, they just lost one, but they're 7-3 their last 10. And then I got Colorado. They made a really good trade, but they're on a 5-game winning streak. So watch. They probably not enough to get the top 2 in the division, but watch for them in the playoffs. And then Tampa Bay, I got them at 6. Even they just lost. They just lost one, but they're still 8-2 their last 10. I believe they lost to Florida. I think it was. And then I got Toronto at 7. They think they just lost. They lost 2, but they're 6-1. They're still in second to the Panthers. And then I got Edmonton at 8. They're kind of watch for them. They didn't really make a big splash in the playoff in the trades, but they're on a 2-game win streak, even though they're 4-6. But they're second in the division, so I think they're going to make the playoffs again. And then I got Dallas. I got them dropping a little bit, but I got them at 9. They come off a loss, but they're 7-2-1, and they really probably, I would say Florida is the winner of the trade, and then I'd say probably either Colorado or Dallas, number 2 behind them, and then
I think Boston's up there too
for selling
for trades. Yeah, I'm serious.
And then Winnipeg, I got them running at the top 10, even though they lost 6-1, they're still forced to be reckoned with. I know I got Columbus dropping out, but not to mention they'd probably put them at 11. Really, if we had more, even though their centers have won 2, but they're right behind Columbus. And I don't want to be a homer, but my team of the week, just because
they've won more than 1 game in a row.
The Predators. 3-game winning streak. I think it's their biggest win streak of the season.
Is that the biggest win streak in the NHL right now?
No, Florida's got a 6-game winning streak.
So the Predators are your hottest team, even though Florida has more wins in a row.
That's because I got Florida number 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the Predators are an honorable mention.
Yeah, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. I thought you said they were the hottest team of the week. So I said they're the team of the week for me. Oh, team of the week. Well, we'll call them entering a few. They're the team of the week, D-Law. We'll let you have it.
Next week they'll probably be on a 4-game losing streak. Well, actually, I don't think I had that many.
I only picked 2 losses, so they can't be on a 4-game losing streak.
So rolling into the weekly picks. Let's see.
Let's start with the Preds.
I got all 3 wrong. Boston, Seattle, and Chicago. You were 2 for 3, and so they got Seattle. They're going on a little California road trip. Probably a good time to go on there, although it's still warm down in Nashville. So they got on Tuesday. They got San Jose. I know I was going to say a loss for the rest of the season, but San Jose. As much as I hate to say it, San Jose is probably worse than the Predators. I think they're going to build on that win. I think they're going to win that game.
I think D-Law. I think I'm going to go with the loss. I think they're bringing. I mean, I'm not saying Wallman's going to be the difference by any means, and Stamkos definitely came out of his shell. My only concerns are, in all seriousness, is Stamkos going to keep up that momentum at this point?
Well, Forsberg needs to get off his little slump too, so maybe Forsberg will get out of his slump.
What is his slump?
Oh, he hasn't scored. I think he had some assists. I don't think he scored in a couple of games, and I can't remember exactly, but he's still got 50-some
Yeah,
points.
yeah, that's not bad.
Then they moved to Anaheim. They got a back-to-back Friday and Saturday at Anaheim and at LA. Which, if you want a back-to-back, that's when you want to do it because they're basically like 20 minutes apart, I think, or 20 miles apart. I don't know, but so I think they're going to lose to Anaheim, and actually, I'll let you do the Anaheim one too before I move on.
I'm going a loss with Anaheim.
And then the Kings, I think they're going to find a way to win that. It's a back-to-back. But I think they're gonna. I mean, the Kings. They're a good team, but I think they're gonna find a way to beat the Kings.
I
And then
think
I
they'll beat
think,
the Kings too.
yeah, the 18th is next Tuesday. So I got 3 games, three road trip, and then they return home for a 1, 2, 3 game homestand. So jumping over to the Wings. Let's see. You had Carolina, right? Carolina. So you were wrong in all 3 of them, and I
Yep.
was wrong on Carolina and Washington, and I was right on Utah for once. And
Well, rolling
then they
into it, I
got
mean, Detroit's at Ottawa. I think they're going to lose that. I just don't think they're physically able to keep up. What do you think, D'Lo?
I think they're gonna end their losing streak and get a big win.
Do you? See, I think that's going to be the next game on the 12th against Buffalo. I think they'll beat Buffalo at home.
I
Buffalo's
think,
kind of imploded also.
yeah, but I think they're gonna lose. They don't seem to play well. Maybe just because the games that we went to in Buffalo, but they always seem to play Detroit. It seems like every time.
That's the only game I've ever been to in Buffalo that they've lost is when
And
we were there.
well, that
Just
and the
throwing it out there, you bad luck.
well, the game in the game in Detroit at the Joe, they also lost that game.
Well,
So
you jinxed
that
them.
was that.
I think
But I
Brian
went
is onto something. You
I
are the
went
jinx.
But I went to the Predators in
Yeah.
Buffalo probably 4 years in a row, or three, at least three, and they won them all.
Brian was right about you. You're the jinx.
Yeah,
All right, Jinx, what do
yeah.
you got for the next game against Carolina? I'm actually thinking Detroit's going to win that game. I think they're going to get their revenge. I do feel that they're going to go on a little short winning streak here. And then I think they're going to lose against Washington, and I think they'll lose again against Vegas. But we'll get to those later on.
At Carolina, I think they're going to lose that game, and
Yeah.
then the 16th is a Sunday, so you want to do that Vegas game? Because it's next Sunday. I don't know what's you
I'm
will.
going loss. I think Vegas is going to spank them.
I think I'm gonna have to go for a loss. That is let me see real quick what time that is. That's a 1 o'clock game on TNT
A 1 o'clock game.
next Sunday on TNT. So, and then the 18th. That's gonna be. We'll talk about that next week. But that's one of the ones that I was talking about the Ovechkin record, and I think I mentioned last show that I had put a couple of bets in what team he would break the record against. Probably won't do it. I mean, they got a few games before that, but that is one of them.
I mean, you just don't know. He can score 4 goals in a game or none.
Well,
Like,
can only,
he's all over
yeah.
the place.
Well, usually only score one or two net goal a game though. It seems like
Nobody's saying he's only scoring empty net goals.
well, it seems like the last few
He gets
games.
hat tricks frequently.
It seems
For
like
some reason.
he's only got 2 this year though.
He
this
was out
season.
half the year.
But
Can you
anyway,
imagine if he didn't miss that month?
oh jeez, he
He
would
would
have
have
already
already broken
broken
it. Yeah, exactly.
it. I just hope he does it within 13 games, quicker than Gretzky. But who knows? He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
What do you
this
got
year.
riding on it?
Not real. I mean, the money was in the account from like I didn't bet in probably a couple of seasons, and I put the one just a $5 bet on did you do it against Detroit, and I put a $5 bet they would do it against Florida, which is like 2 games after Detroit, and I think if he does against Detroit, it's something like $200 some,
Nice.
and if he does against Florida, it's like $300 some. But I mean, it's not. It's like it was the money was in the account, and I wasn't taking it out, and I wasn't because I hadn't. I was a few years ago. I was not betting a lot, but
It
I
was
hate
degenerate, but it's good.
but I don't feel like I just don't feel like
You have a problem.
I don't need to bet. I mean, it's like and it seems like every time I bet, I end up losing anyway. But it's just kind of fun. Who knows? Maybe he'll do it against one of those two teams. But
We'll see.
anyway, that's I think that's the show for tonight.
Yeah.
I got nothing else. So hopefully, like I said, probably going to be staying on Sunday, at least through the end of the month, just because. Well, we probably could still do it on Fridays because Junior Yammer's play is 7 or 7:30, I believe it is on Fridays. So it'll probably be about the same time. No, 7.
Okay.
7 o'clock on Friday they start, and they're usually done by 9:30s. But we'll see. But in any case, we're slated again for next Sunday. So if you're listening to us and want to jump on Podbean and listen to us live, if it changes, we'll put it out on social media. Speaking of social media, you can get us on PredWings Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And X and YouTube is at PredWings Pod. And you can also listen and follow on Podbean. And our email is predwingspodcast@gmail.com. Any last comments from our Rat and Ron?
Nope.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the PredWings Podcast.
Good night, Hockey Town.
See ya, Smashville.